Chapter 13 of The Simplicity of Lean continues talking about how we achieve breakthrough by talking about value stream mapping and the importance of it in identifying what our future state should look like and determining how to get there. I open up by talking about what I refer to as the organisation's BMI, the fat, the non-lean, the non-value added elements of the value stream, and how we need to identify those if we're truly going to drive operational excellence and that reduction in overall value stream lead time. Then talk about an extremely important tool, often neglected, which is PQPR, which is product quantity process routing. And this is an analysis to really understand what the product families are, rather than making assumptions about what they are and what the value stream really represents. And it's really important, once we understand that, to build that current to future state design. And to build that current to future state design, I've adopted Duggans Principles of value stream design. I think they're excellent, and I identify throughout this chapter how we can use those both for manufacturing and for office. Very briefly, very simply, they are first of all, tact time. Understand what the tact time is. In the office, it's tact capability requirement, but in manufacturing, keep it very simple for the purposes of this video. We're talking about tact time, understanding how often we need to deliver a product for our customers' demand. Setting out then what our finished goods strategy should be. Are we going to build to order? Are we going to build to inventory or to stock? Next, we want to create flow. And there's three types of flow that we can create, and in priority order: continuous flow. That's when essentially all of your process steps are connected and we're processing them on a continuous basis. That's the ideal in an ideal world. Secondly, we're looking at a FIFO system, a first in, first out system, to kind of emulate that continuous flow through very solid and disciplined rules. And then finally, where we can't achieve that, supermarket pull. And it's important to understand that there is that hierarchy and that priority level, because too often we jump to supermarket pull as a lean way of creating pull, and it's important that we don't do that, that we really understand what that hierarchy is. Once we've determined that, we then need to set a single point of scheduling, a pacemaker. And again, very difficult, often neglected, because it's quite challenging to have that single scheduling point. But very clearly, where you can't achieve that, the problem is you've not really thought through your value stream design properly, because you can, I would say, in 99.9% of cases, get that single scheduling point in place. Then we need to understand the interval, and we want to reduce the interval. That's the time between each product family being produced. And we want to reduce that as small as possible. Ideally, every product, every interval of 1 day. So ideally, you're making every product every day. And then finally, the pitch, and this is related to interval, but this is the quantity of a product family that's released every interval. So every time we're releasing a block of work, it needs to be as small a pitch as possible. That will allow you to have a smaller interval and will allow us to have much more flexibility. And then from that value stream design, we then need to generate what are the Kaizen events, and what are the projects we're going to have to undertake to get us from the current to future state. And the last thing I'll say on that is there are millions of current state maps around. There are probably hundreds of thousands of future state maps around. But the question is, how many of those future state maps actually become the current state, actually become the reality? And unfortunately, there's far too few. With the simplicity of lean, I intend that we can make far more of those future state maps a reality.